So next we have two more graphs that we're going to make here. We're going to do the cost per lunch as well as the number of lunches. And I have my data saved up here. So cost per lunch, we're going to create a graph here. And we're going to make this one fairly small, just so that we have our scale correct here. So cost per lunch, we're going to have it be 200 by 200. I'm going to put my data in here. I actually have it copied already. We'll put this data in the second column here. We have elementary. Actually, I'll have my data go the other way. Well, there's a way to do that actually. Elementary, middle, and high school. And we can flip this here, transpose, check, so that we now have our legend here. Only create a legend if you have the values going across the top. It's a little keynote to have there. Type, and instead of legend across the top, we'll just have a regular legend here. And let's see. For my value axis, yep, we have 3 divisions here. It goes from 0 to 3, so we're going to override it with that. 0 to 3 and 3 different divisions. Column width 90, cluster width 50%. We can make this a little bigger there. So our cluster width, we can say 80. Right? So that spreads things out a little bit more. There we go. We have high school, middle, and elementary, and we can change our color scheme here. Same method, Alt with the mouse twice will give us our selection. So elementary red, make middle yellow, and high school do a blue. Oop. And I want to click twice here. So there we go, we have elementary, middle, and high school. Now our text doesn't necessarily have to be that small. We can actually size that up a little bit here. First we're going to ungroup, G, enter, and now we can select our text. And we can size that up just a little bit here so we can see it. 18 is a good number. So we go, we have high school, middle, and elementary school lunches. Also select our text on the side there for our numbers and make those a little bit bigger too. I think 18 is a good size here. So we have our cost per lunch. You can regroup that by right-click group. Move this guy up. And another thing we can do is we can go Object, Graph. If we want, we could change our columns to the $sign over here, but for now I think just doing bar graphs for these makes a little bit more sense. And we can go number of lunches. We have our data here. So we have 19.8 million free lunches, 2.2 million reduced, 8.5 million full price, and 5 billion served annually. So we can do our total and some of our other values there. This graph we can do let's say a pie graph. And we'll make this one 300 by 300. And so we have 19.8, and we're going in millions, so we don't have to put the millions there because it's all going to add up to 5 billion. So we have 19.8, 2.2, and 8.5. And copy this down. And we can say free, reduced, full. All right. And that tells us, because these are all million, 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 and the annual is 5 billion. Served annually. All right. So we don't actually have to worry about the annual there. And we can change our color scheme again. Do purple. I actually like doing, for these types of graphs, I like doing different gradients here. So we can do them all in purple, but we'll do different brightness. And for full, we'll do stay in the purple range. Make it really bright. Free, we'll have it there. And reduced, will have it be in between. We can make this one just even a little bit brighter. Full, reduced, and free. And then the next thing that we can do is, once again, we can do the ungroup. Shift Control G. Object graph data. So what we're going to do right now is I'm actually going to grab the data off the graph, and then we're going to ungroup the graph. So Control Shift G. Just ungroup. And once again, we can do that what we did with our text earlier, which is just make our text bigger. Go to that nice, comfortable 18 point here. There we go. Full, reduced, and free. And what I also like to do for these types of graphs is I like to put the actual numbers down. So we can say 19. Actually, I'll copy our text and paste it. There we go. So that gives a little context to our graph there. Okay. The next things that we can do is we can just kind of fill things out. So we can add a paragraph here where it talks about calorie count. We can also add a graphic here. We can do something like the food pyramid, new food pyramid. One with the least amount of actual words on it, because we want the words to be our own. Copy image. Do a 16 color trace of that just to get that into a vector format here that looks nice. So we have the food pyramid. That way we can get larger if we want to. And we'll size this guy up to our 36-point font there. And what I'm going to do is move this guy up so it's all the way up. This guy a little bit lower. And I'm going to do a sort of short blurb underneath with a font size of 18. And we'll say daily recommended calorie intake is 5,000 calories per day. A typical school lunch is 18,000 calories. More than half the number you need for a day, while not giving good proportions of calories we need. Exclamation point. Right. So there we go. That's our blurb. And lastly, we have our final question. So actually, we have a couple things here we're going to add in before we get to that final question. What are the costs of food? That's a title here. And that's what we can put here. Make this a little bit smaller. And the last question we can kind of pose in this corner here, which is, or the last statement, I guess you would say, in order to make school lunches healthier, we need will need legislation that helps to ensures the school lunch program is well funded. That's kind of my little solution there. You can kind of come up with your own. And there we go. Make this big. I like to do with blurbs like this is make them larger, put them on front of, or in front of, and say arrange, send it back. Nice box here. Can make my text bold. Bold italic, actually, I like that. And we can make our text color white so it stands against the background. It's kind of our final point there. So there you have it, a basic infographic. Now some other things that you can add to this infographic here is you can add some color scheming if you want. That would just require you to take all of these colors, kind of how I did here, and make them all uniform across the entire graph, so that each graph follows the same color scheme. I kind of have a blue theme going here. I might change this one over to blue if I want to, or I could switch it over to green or something else like that as well. And that is the entirety of our lesson. So what you are to do is to create one of these documents. We're going to save it, and then we're going to save it for web. I'm going to save it as a JPEG image. What I chose here is 1500 by 1500 pixels for the artboard. You will be provided with the basic building blocks for this project, and it's your job to kind of finish it off with your own little additional touch. The extra credit project for this, all of these will be due at the end of the semester here. The extra credit project is to take all of these, create your infographic, and then also possibly make your very own infographic with your own images, your own theme on something in your own community. That will be worth an additional 10 extra credit points if you choose to do it. All right, that's all for this week, and have a great rest of your semester, and work hard and finish strong.